Welcome back to Fit for Rafting, and in this series I talk about all sorts of things from physical health to mental health and all sorts of techniques to help you just get an edge in your paddling and your boating. Stuff that's going to keep you strong, stuff that's going to keep you fit. So in today's episode I want to talk about sugar and some of its effects and some things we can do to avoid sugar and sugar overload. So before we get into it, please make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell, make sure you're getting our updates. So, let's dive into it. Sugar is your worst enemy as an athlete, especially if you live in Western society. Pretty much everything has sugar in it, if you are in America, and it's over the top. So, let's give you some statistics real quick. If you have a 2,000 calorie diet, the average male should be consuming 38 grams of sugar, and the average female should be consuming 25 grams of sugar per day. That's it. If you have a 2,000 calorie diet. As boaters, we're going to have a higher calorie diet. Basically, that equates to about 5% of your diet being sugars. So, sugars do help in a lot of ways. They help with your brain function. They help keep you alert, keep you going, understanding what you're doing, keeping your energy level up, but they have to be taken in the correct way. Sugar is kind of a drug, like processed sugar. It just gives you a dopamine hit, your blood sugar jumps, and then you crash. Blood sugar issues, jumping up and down, are really horrible. It can lead to diabetes later in life, heart disease, all sorts of nasty stuff. But it also leads to weight gain too. More sugar you consume turns into fat. That fat doesn't really go anywhere until you start getting into a fat burn cycle. So, when you guys are consuming sugar on the river, you're going to be, I see this on a lot of guides. There's a lot of guides who are taking candy down the river, Skittles or Starburst or something like that. They eat that, their blood sugar jumps up, and then they crash. Once they crash, they get cranky. If you're a commercial guide, it's not so fun. Your friends are like, dude, what's your problem? Why are you so angry right now? Those things are really horrible. It lowers your ability for your brain to function at a higher level when you're running rapids. And you need to have high level brain functions when you're running rapids. It's not all about physical, it's about the mental state as well. This is what keeps you fit and keeps you going. So let's look at a couple things real quick. I was just looking at a chai tea latte from Starbucks. A 16-ounce drink contains 42 grams of sugar. If you're a woman, that's nearly twice your daily intake for sugar. And another thing here. Belgian chocolate gelato from Talenti. This stuff is delicious if you've never had it, but it's got 29 grams of sugar for a quarter cup. There are 4 of those servings in here. I could sit down on the couch and I could probably eat this whole thing if I wanted to. Wouldn't even think about it. Just be like, Belgian chocolate, oh my god. This stuff is going to make your blood sugar spike and then drop. This has almost 200 or 120 grams of sugar in it. If you're a guy, that is 3 times what you should be consuming with a 2,000 calorie diet. If you had a 4,000 calorie diet, it's twice what you should be consuming. Nope. These are all things that are pretty rough on your body, trying to process this. You get those big crashes. It's just not pretty. So I want to make sure that you guys are eating the proper foods when you go out on the river. You got a cooler with you. Try not to bring a bunch of junk food. Some things that you can bring that are really helpful. Protein. We're talking salami, beef jerky, lunch meats, bring a cooler, bring that stuff with you. Those things are really helpful. The protein helps keep you going throughout the day. It's got a great effect. I mean, when I go out there and I have some salami in the middle of the day, I'm just like, oh my god, I actually feel really good and ready to go. Bring things with fat. Again, salami, things like that. Another good thing, nuts. Nuts have a lot of fat in them. They got protein. They've got all sorts of stuff as long as you're eating the whole nut. And then finally, fruits. And the more whole the fruit is, the better, and the less added sugar. You buy dried fruit in the store, like you want to buy dried mangoes, they cover it in sugar. Try this. I got a dehydrator at Walmart for 40 bucks. You go and buy some apples. Get a little apple cutter. It cost me 20 bucks. So basically I can sit there and I can dehydrate apples, and I dehydrate apples, and I do that all fall when it's apple season. I'm buying apples, dehydrating them, and I put them in bags, and I have these big gallon bags, and I take them on the river, and everybody's eating my apple rings. Because A, they're super good, and especially if you get stuff like Honeycrisp or some of the sweeter apples, but they also have all that fiber in them, and they contain just fructose. It's not a bunch of like nasty processed bleached cane sugar. It's basically as whole to the apple as you can get with a dried apple, or just bring some apples. Those sorts of things are going to help you guys to prevent those jumps and those crashes. If you're starting to feel like, oh man, I need some a quick sugar fix, maybe you bring an orange, maybe you bust out that apple, eat that apple. You don't need to be drinking stuff like soda on the river or other stuff like that. That stuff is just going to cause problems with your mind and how you're going to be able to get down the river and how you're going to be able to deal with those issues. Let me bring up another thing. I don't drink, but I got a bottle of Corona here. This bottle of Corona has only 1.5 grams of sugar. You might be like, hey Trevor, that's not too bad. What's wrong with that? Well, alcohol causes a bunch of other problems. It may not have a ton of sugar in it, but some do. Some alcohols, they try to cover the flavor with sugar, especially mixed drinks. So I'll get to that in another video and another article I'll be writing. We'll be talking about alcohol's effects on you, and they're actually really, really bad. But we'll talk about that later. For now, sugar. Just make sure you guys are staying away from it. Don't be buying donuts and don't be having pastries for breakfast. Have some protein for breakfast. Have some eggs. Have some bacon or something. Those things are going to really, really help you and help keep you going all day long. Make sure you're carrying nuts with you down the river. Make sure you're carrying protein. Make sure you're carrying fats. Those sorts of things that are good whole foods, that's going to keep you going. So that's all I got for today, guys. Hope this has helped you. If it has, please make sure you drop a like. If you have questions about what I bring on the river and things that you think you should bring, drop that in the comments. Be happy to talk with you about that and discuss some things. So thanks so much, and we will see you guys downriver.